awesome weather again today. It's about that time to go cherry blossom hunting too. Not everything's bloomed yet anyways. And what did I read today? How about this one? Where apparently in Australia they had all this data saying there's more licensed drone pilots than conventional pilots per se. For example, traditional manned aircraft, airplanes and so forth. This one says licensed drone pilots in Australia now outnumber conventional counterparts. I would imagine that would be kind of expected considering it's so broad, the term drone, correct? Even people flying toys and all that. Here it says there are now more licensed drone pilots operating in Australia than pilots of conventional aircraft, according to the Commonwealth Aviation Safety Authority. In her speech to the RPAS and Australian Skies 2024 conference in Canberra last week, Chief Executive Officer and Director of Aviation Safety at CASA, Pip Spence, said as of 20 February, there were 33,388 remote pilot licenses in Australia compared to 30,843 conventional pilots. This year's main event for the Australian Association for Uncrewed Systems, the conference has established itself as a landmark for the Australian drone industry. Attendees include government agencies, regulatory and safety bodies, the Australian Defence Force, and foreign militaries, remotely piloted aircraft systems and unmanned aircraft systems traffic management representatives, academia, and drone operators. Ms. Spence said the number of REPLs in Australia had almost tripled from 12,800 since mid-2019 and risen by more than 50% from almost 22,000 in June 2021. She said the growth was underscored by a recently released report compiled for Air Services Australia, which predicted drone flights would grow by 20% a year to 60 million annually by 2043. And there seems no limit to the range of RPAS applications, she said, from medical, food, and goods deliveries to agriculture, mining, and beach patrols. Other applications include multi-spectrum land use analysis, bushfire and flood mapping, the monitoring of power lines and obstructions such as tree growth, wildlife and stock tracking, law enforcement, news gathering, infrastructure inspection, and safety inspecting items at height such as aircraft tails and buildings. The ADF has increased its application of drones over the past decade from initially having remote piloted aircraft fitted with sensors to now testing and operating armed uncrewed aircraft, maritime, surface, and underwater drones, and optionally crewed armored vehicles. Now again, that's not too surprising, and this is just the people that are, quote, I guess, registered, licensed per se. Again, so many drones are classified as, let's just say, a manned aircraft of sort, where even people flying toys, super small ones just to capture scenery and all that. I don't think they should be classified the exact same way as a manned aircraft, like a traditional one like they say here. And it makes you wonder, will people in those groups, such as say helicopter pilots, people who fly large passenger planes and all that, will they start feeling some kind of pressure like from these changes where people are going to kick them out of the sky, and it's going to be the complete opposite? I mean, in my opinion, it comes down to what you're using and how. It just doesn't make sense in the bigger picture when you think about it in terms of drone regulations. They should be managed just like basic traffic management on the roads and stuff, in my opinion anyways. Because with that thought, in terms of what you're using and how, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and in a lot of places they're celebrating, and at the same time people are treating any drones as some kind of, I guess, potential terrorist threat or weapon and so forth, so they want you to keep it away even if you're just filming like the event. Like this one says, Irish Aviation Authority warns against drone flights over St. Patrick's Day parade in Dublin. The Irish Aviation Authority has warned all drone operators not to fly unauthorized drones over the St. Patrick's Day parade in Dublin tomorrow. In a statement, the aviation regulator said it is directing all those who are thinking of flying in the vicinity of the parade to comply with the safety notice to ensure the safety of people on the ground. The notice states that a temporary restriction is in place between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. to ensure the safety of all St. Patrick's Day parade participants and attendees in the vicinity of the Dublin City Centre tomorrow. The IAA said that as the St. Patrick's Day Festival draws a large crowd, the airspace over the events has been designated a no drone zone. And you can see with the map and what they determine as a no fly zone per se for the drones, it's so humongous. And with these regulations, this technically affects everybody. You could be flying something, let's just say a model aircraft in a field, for example. You're pretty far away, you're pretty low, but still that's, quote, illegal according to stuff like this afterwards. Why? Like they say, in the name of safety, I guess, because it is said that unauthorized flights over parade routes pose a significant risk and may result in serious consequences for both participants and spectators. The safety and security of the public are the utmost importance, and the IAA urges cooperation from all drone users to ensure successful and incident-free St. Patrick's Day celebration. I question again personally, how dangerous is it really, and does it warrant these types of restrictions overall for events like these? I can see, for example, if people are flying, let's just say exactly within the line of where people are actually conducting the parade and all that. I mean, it's a liability. I don't think a lot of people would actually want that unless you're involved with the event and you coordinate it and so forth. But at the same time, if you're really far away and people are getting really high aerial views of the situation, I don't see how that's dangerous overall. And again, it comes down to what you're using and how, because otherwise I could argue, hey, me setting up a really tall tripod to capture an angle of the entire event, I mean, there's a chance a tripod's gonna fall over, knock someone's head out and so forth. But I mean, that's how crazy it is in many ways when you over exaggerate it for what a lot of people are using nowadays anyways. And even reading in the comments, you can kind of see what is the public like in general when it comes to stuff like this. And sure enough, when you read all the comments, people are talking about things, for example, how can you disable it, shoot it down potentially because people find it annoying. In my opinion too, these types of regulations, announcements and so forth, with the way it's done, you can easily see how people grow up to be so prejudiced against, let's just say, certain groups of people or tech and so forth. This constantly reinforces that bad, I guess, mentality to always see everything as, oh my God, it's dangerous, this and that, versus people actually educating themselves, like, okay, well, this is what this is. Oh, interesting. Kind of like what I mentioned before, where when I went hiking and so forth, initially, a lot of people, when they started, like, oh my God, how are you gonna control this thing? It's gonna go like crazy. But the second they see it, wow, that's so stable. I love the footage. And as I mentioned, people are like, when can you come again to do this? So I think stuff like this actually contributes to more fear mongering and stuff, in my opinion anyways. And this was in the news a lot, which was kind of interesting. Apparently, McDonald's had this global outage of sort where all of their digital terminals went down. So you can imagine, no ordering and stuff like that. What a disaster, huh? So initially, it said at approximately midnight CDT on Friday, McDonald's experienced a global technology system outage, which was quickly identified and corrected. Notably, this issue was not directly caused by a cybersecurity event. Rather, it was caused by a third-party provider during a configuration change. So, oops, somebody did like a bad job, I guess you could say. And then just recently, they indicated everything was solved, it seems like, because it says here, I want to provide an update to my last message. I'm pleased to share that all of our restaurants globally are now open and serving customers. Local technology teams will continue to provide support as needed. In the coming days, we will be analyzing the issue and pushing for accountability across our teams and third-party vendors. We sincerely regret the inconvenience that we know this caused you, your teams, and your customers. Thank you again for your patience and your support as our teams work together to tirelessly resolve the issue. It makes you think too, as I know there's a lot of places like McDonald's that are actually testing out markets or stores where they're mostly just robots, for example, and all digital orders. Is that actually doable? Where if you don't have human intervention, what happens if something like this happens? It shuts everything down. Not just like in your local store, it's everywhere in the country or even the world. Okay, where's all the fear mongers? License and registration for those now too, huh? See you guys later.